we are going to be talking to Christine West with the Business MD. And if you have questions or comments, go ahead and put them below. And after, we'll answer them. Also, if you feel that this is beneficial to somebody that you know in your community, your social media community, please hit the share button. I would love for you to share. So welcome, Christine. Thanks for
you, Tracy.
Technology little glitch going on. I'm going to read a couple testimonials from your website, the Business MD, to give people an idea of who you are.
Thank you.
This one, I really like this one. Christine has helped me grow my business and self-actualization. When I met Christine, I was a sole proprietor and up to my eyeballs in work. I had reached the ceiling of what one person was physically and emotionally able to produce for clients on a daily basis. Christine guided me on a process of inner development and gave me the tools necessary to conquer my fear of branching out and enlisting help. Change can be often scary, and I was very nervous about trusting others with my business. I recently hired 2 individuals, and with this expansion and growing staff, it has increased my revenue, considerably leveraged my time. Thank you, Christine, for helping me to shift my stagnate and complacent behaviors into a meaningful and more profitable business. And that is a Shannon Planta, I believe. Yeah, she owns Planta Creative LLC. What a great testimonial and segue for you to tell us about your business and how you radically change people's lives.
Well, thank you. Well, as I said, I do business as the Business MD. I'm Christine West. And really my expertise and specialty of my special recipe is I love diving inside of people and decision makers, because we need to all make a decision, right? To say, hey, I'm ready. Because part of real change, authentic change, is diving inside of the abstract human world that we all hear about. We hear words such as emotion, mindset, things such as that. But why is that so important to a business? Because if you're trying to make changes based on what you believe and how you feel and your fears and your habits and how you make decisions, those new strategies are going to be a new version of the same old you. So my business really puts folks, those decision makers I'm speaking of, in the emotional driver's seat and in the mental driver's seat to say, okay, what do I need to pull the weeds and get rid of so that I can do something new? Because if we have it, for example, I have clients, and this is a very simple example to simplify for our conversation, that they'll say, I want to earn more money. But then after diving into them, if they never value money, how can I help you earn more money?
So you find the root of maybe what's keeping them stuck.
Yeah, find that root and then, make those, alterations inside. And then I can help you, that decision maker or that group, to, alter your behavior and do something different and be open to that new, what I consider authentic action. So it's more of, hey, you want to do something new? You want to try something new? Well, let's start the change within you first. And then we can start on business strategies, because it makes better sense that way to me. And that's my special sauce.
So how did you start to create, or what's your background? And then what was your vision for the Business MD?
Well, great question. My background, I started actually in sales engineering. And I grew up in Chicago, and I used to, once upon a time, work for some of the biggest technology empires out there. And I was that individual that was that bridge between the techie people, the business people, decision makers, salespeople, and I needed to set a vision for the client to buy into on a global scale. So I was trained by folks such as IBM, such as Cisco Systems.
Oh,
And I did consulting work in between those two employers in the 90s. And I was fortunate or unfortunate, depends on how one looks at it, was I was at IBM when they made a poor decision that no one would be into personal computing. And I watched that big empire crumble down, and it crushed me because it was my first corporate job and I loved IBM. And then all of a sudden, as life moved on, I went into consulting because after you work for IBM, I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went into consulting. So I was very successful in the Chicagoland area doing technology and managerial type consulting projects. And then Cisco Systems picked me up in the late 90s, which was such an honor because they were booming at the time. But then I was unfortunate, 2001, if you remember back, here I am, the beginning of the year, somebody was said to me, by the end of the year, you'll live in Anchorage, Alaska. I was said, no way. Well, this is what happened. And this is the cool thing of how the Business MD, it was inspired. Beginning of 2001, all of a sudden, world shifted. The tech stocks plummet. The world of where I was working at crumbled. Again, decisions. Here we have a young company that didn't understand what to do. Leadership is saying, hey, we don't know what to do. It got chaotic. When you put everything, you're all into your work, and again, you don't pay attention to your personal world, which was my, situation at the time. Then all of a sudden, I realized everything was coming at me at once. My whole life was in chaos, and I wasn't skilled what to do in this chaotic, conflictive situation, and I was embarrassed. It was crazy. And so a good friend suggested at the time for me to go vacation in Alaska. So I couldn't do anything normal because I needed to do something, I said, hey, I don't want to go on a cruise. I want to do something that checks me out, checks me out of the norm. So I signed up for a beginning mountaineering course. Now, remember, I came from Chicago.
oh my gosh.
So the only reason why I signed up for this thing was not because I wanted to climb mountains. It was because I didn't want this thing called a cell phone to work. This is 2001. And I wanted to learn how to stay committed to something. I was used to living a lifestyle that I paid people to carry my bags. I mean, I came from big business, and I was used to people catering to me because that's what I was trying to do. Well, what I didn't realize was that my soul was saying to me, knock, 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 Christine, we need some change going on here. The glacier, the Davidson Glacier in the southeast Alaska, I spent 7 days out there, and it was amazing because I was out there with 4 other people that were, part of the group, and then 2 guides. And the 4 other people were from New York. So you can only imagine what 4 New Yorkers and 1 Chicago person.
I'm from New York, so be careful.
Okay, so here we go. Here we have the dynamic of everybody wanting instant gratification, all these different things. So these 7 days shifted my life. And on the 7th day, and if anybody wants to hear more, this is actually a story that I tell all the time in the Business MD. But I'll tell you about the 7th day. The rest of the group, the New Yorkers, go off to climb another mountain. I'm sitting in base camp all alone. So I got the beautiful experience of what it would be like to be the only person on Earth. And I'm sitting there, and it was so quiet. It was sunny. And I was a little frustrated because I was used to going up to a counter, 2001, this is before 9/11, that, hey, when's the plane coming? I had nobody to ask. The cell phone didn't work.
Did you know when they were going to pick you up?
I didn't know. I was just sitting there. But the beautiful thing was this beautiful spiritual awakening. It was almost as though I had my burning bush moment, and not literally that the burning bush was there, but it was as though God was saying to me, Christine, I have a new mission for you. And I could hear this intuitively. And I had my journal, and I start writing and writing. And all of a sudden, I realized in that moment, all these problems that I had back in Chicago, my consciousness was above the problem. And I saw the solution. I saw what I was supposed to do. I saw the vision of the Business MD. But here's the key. I wasn't qualified for my own vision, because I was a sales engineer. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I kept writing and writing and writing and enjoying this moment of hearing all this intuitive conversation. And all of a sudden, what happened was the plane comes. And I'm sitting there like, really? It's over? I got this plane? And I get on the plane thinking I'm going to go back to Chicago the next day. Well, the town of Haines was so impressed that me, Chicago woman, didn't kill herself, because the way I looked from the beginning was I had these high heels, I had bleach blonde hair, I had these fixed nails, everything was picture perfect. I mean, I thought I was going to be handing somebody $100 bill to carry my stuff. No.
That's how you got off the plane from Chicago to go to the mountain.
Yes, yes. And so the town of Haines threw this awesome party for me that I didn't kill myself. And then he influenced me to start changing my airline reservations. And that was in the day when you didn't have to pay, all this money. Mm-hmm. So I ended up changing my plane reservation so many times that I spent an extra month in Alaska, and it changed my life. And one day I woke up at the end of August and I said, I'm going home. I told Haynes, bye, I'm going home. And they said to me, well, when are you coming back? And I said, I'm not coming back. Are you kidding me? I'm going back to Chicago. Well, this is how long it took. I got off the plane. I walked in my house. I saw my old life. And I started laughing out loud. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. And I looked back at that journal and I said, the only thing I can think of is I have to start this business. And I set my intention and I started things in motion, started announcing things. And my goal was to be in Alaska by the end of the year. And everything just started lining up to the degree of where I didn't know that I was doing this consciously. And I didn't know back then how to really articulate or really how to explain what I was doing. But magic and miracles just started occurring. And by December, when everybody said to me, you will never sell your house putting up for sale. And I know you have, a background in selling homes, in December. Well, I literally in 2 weeks sold my house in December of 2001, was standing here in Anchorage, Alaska, in the lot my house I own today. It was an empty lot. Receive a phone call from my Chicago person, the realtor, and says, I have an offer. I said, I accept. I looked at my realtor here in Anchorage and I said, I'm buying this right now. So within 10 minutes, I sold the house and bought a house. And
so you believe in the power of visions.
Yes, power of visions. And so for me, I'm giving you a lot of background, but then what happened for me was that I was officially moved here January 2002, and then the journey really, really began. And I needed to take the action steps to be the business MD. And I needed the courage to go start the business. So I knew that I needed to go study psychology. I needed to understand people better. I needed to understand if I really wanted to help people be happy in their work and help them to understand their own behavior, understand their consciousness, understand their emotions. I needed to learn how to know what to call these things, know how to massage these things, how to do these things. So anyways, what I ended up doing was I ended up getting myself into a master's degree at APU. And then I did my research work there on why people end up self-sabotaging their happiness. And I learned a lot from that research, and then I opened my business. And then I did something else crazy, was I decided I still wasn't qualified. So I went and entered a PhD program in industrial organizational psychology. And I ended up doing that dissertation on leadership and emotional intelligence. And so during the years of being a full-time student and a full-time entrepreneur, which is insane and I don't recommend to anyone, is I learned how to get better at really what I do and what my genius level is. And that's why I say that inner human world is really my world, my forte, of really helping people with those behaviors and what's going on inside your inner world, getting that root cause, ripping it out, and setting you on a new path. And that's really the condensed version of how I all began.
Man, so you got your PhD back in 2000.
Like 2012.
Wow.
And yeah, and it still was a crazy time of, figuring out of, wow, I did all this. Now really stepping into that genius place.
And supporting yourself through the whole thing.
Yes.
So how did you keep your own mind from wanting to kill you?
A great question. This is really why I can claim this mastery, because I had to learn how to really be present to the present and get rid of all those outer distractions. People that are close to us, have really great opinions. And sometimes they're not the more supportive opinions. Those opinions are, their fears, their concerns for us when we're doing something so incredibly new. So I had to, the best answer that I can give, and it's an authentic answer, is I still go back to that journal when I had that moment on the glacier, because it was the vision that the Almighty, the Divine gave me. And I realized, and I'm getting chills right now as I'm describing this, is that the Divine said to me, this is what your divine purpose is. And I agreed to step into it. And so by doing so, it deepened my faith. And I'm not speaking from a religious standpoint, because I respect all religions. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking from a place of my soul agreeing to its soul's contract on this earth plane. And to the degree of where, when things have gotten tough and I freaked out and I've gotten scared and not knowing how to do this or that, I always returned back to my faith, and it always deepened of how to get past my own obstacles. And I've always learned that it was the Divine teaching me so that I can teach somebody else.
Boom.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Powerful, powerful story.
Yeah.
And, I love doing these interviews because the people that have been guided to me, when I hear their stories, they're all in sync. It's, finding a purpose for themselves, for yourself, and then making it happen.
Right.
And then the struggles come up, and surrounding yourself with an inner, whatever that is, God, Buddha, whatever, some sort of outside power to connect you to your inside power to help you forward.
It is.
Yeah. And that's just like, it's amazing that
it is. It's something that I had to learn and master, to believe in myself that my bank account didn't matter. I had to learn that the good opinions of others did not matter. I had to learn how to throw out so much of my, conditioning. And I'm not just speaking from parents or family. I'm speaking from, I've worked at a lot of different places, consulted at many different places. There's so many different definitions of success. There are so many different definitions of suggestions of what people have said to me that I should be doing. And really needing to own, and when I say genius level, and really get into that divine purpose and stay in, sync with really authentic action, and even face things that I remember going back to when I officially opened the practice in 2004. People used to say to me that you can't speak about, spirituality in the workplace. You can't, speak about, psychology and emotions, and, who cares about the inner human world? What the hell are you talking about? Well, today, nobody says that. Everybody welcomes it.
I think you're a little bit like me. Doesn't that just feed your soul when people say things like, what are you doing? You should Oh, just even though at the time I'm a very sensitive person, it gets to me. But later on, I look back and I think, wow, that person just really fueled me to prove them wrong and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, the beautiful thing, for me, it really simplify everything that I said. I mean, the Business MD was really born out of chaos and the conflicts, and me really understanding how to turn that conflicted chaos and see it for a gift and turn it into saying, hey, you know what? I'm not the only one. And I could do something about this, and I can help people, and I can help people to see themselves in a more authentic way and create changes that make sense for them in the workplace. And then those same skills they can apply to their personal world.
So you've kind of answered the last question about success. You defined what success means to you. So if what would a typical, not typical, I don't like that word. If somebody were to come to you, what might be a problem that they're facing? And then what would be the steps that you would take them through? And would it be, what would that look like?
Well, sure. I'll give you a couple scenarios. Okay, here's one that's very common in the small, like small to medium entrepreneurial type culture. And to be specific, I do better in an entrepreneurial type culture because bureaucrats love them to death, but yet they have their own set of rules. A problem that many entrepreneurial, cultures face would be something such as, hey, you know what, I'm growing my business and I hired all these rock star people. How come these rock star people, when they were working for that bigger business under me, they don't perform?
Uh-huh. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's one. Okay, here's another scenario. Hey, you know what? I've been sitting complaining about, working for other people, and I have all these great ideas, and I don't know why I want to really start my own business, yet I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get myself over that hump. Here's another scenario, something very common that somebody would say to me. They would say something such as, how come, I'm very successful when I'm in front of this audience, but when it comes to this audience over here, I'm a nervous wreck. I'm fearful. I can't pick up the phone. I freak out. I don't know what to do. I run. I sabotage myself. Or another problem, I mean, I could go on and on, but I'll give you the last one, is something such as, why do I sabotage myself when I'm doing so well? Yeah. Why do I do that? So one of the things that usually a great place I start, well, once that person or group gets in front of me and says, yes, we go through, obviously, they get to know me a little bit, I get to know them a little bit, and understand what transition they're really looking to do. So the great thing that what I do once they say yes is where I start, and I have a prop, is my emotional intelligence, if you can see that for the camera. Yeah, my emotional intelligence assessment. And why that's so important? Because what I have learned when I said I jumped into my genius level, genius sweet spot, even though I'm extremely observant and I can, analyze somebody's behavioral patterns, but that would take a lot more time. It would take a lot more effort. It would cost a lot more. This assessment, why it's so powerful, is because what happens is I administer the assessment online. You can be anywhere in the world as long as you speak English and we have internet. Then the second thing is I allow you to give me 3 to 5 specific questions you want answered about you.
Oh.
And then once you answer these questions, remember, you answered the questions. I didn't. I'm the deliverer of analyzing the data. And I'm analyzing the data to answer your specific questions. What it is about you that you want to improve, or what is it about you don't understand, or you understand the symptoms about yourself, but you do not understand the root cause, or you don't understand why you get derailed. So this emotional intelligence assessment to be very brief, it looks at things such as how you view yourself, your self-actualization, how well you understand your emotional information, how well you make decisions, your connections to other people, your attitude, how you manage your stress, how you solve problems, things such as that, your impulse control, things of that nature. Once I answer your questions, and it's all pretty packaged, and all this is recorded so that you have a recording for life. Then the next step is, then I help you set SMART goals. Now, I know a lot of people set SMART goals, but it's so specific in matching the emotional intelligence skills that you want to match up. So for example, if you know that you need to set a SMART goal that says, hey, I need to get better at active listening while I'm in meetings or while I'm interviewing people, then that's something very specific, because you may be very active listener with your spouse, but you may be a poor listener when it comes to your workplace. And then from there, after that meeting, then I help you create a development plan. And then in between all these meetings, live meetings with me, you have homework to try on these new skills, because I give you strategies in between. Then after the development plan, then we regroup and we review what you've done, what has worked, what isn't working, and what help do you still need. And then we decide together from there, do you still need me in your environment? Do you still need me to do something with your business, with you? And then it's either a yes or no. And if it is a yes, then we decide what that looks like. And that may be a coaching plan, that may be me being your consultant, that may be something else. It may be say something, hey, in my business, I want you to now look at my employees. I want you to run the emotional intelligence assessment. Tell me what my culture looks like. Tell me what, so it's all different, ways that I can help that sales team, or I can help the recruitment effort, but it all starts on the inside. So the way that people can get a hold of me, either go to my website, thebusinessmd.net. I like phone calls too. I'll give out my phone number, 907-223-8403. Yeah, you can do that.
And I'll drop all those links in the comments when we get off, and in the show notes for those podcast listeners.
Yeah, if you go to my website, there is a form that you could fill it out, and then tell me what you want to talk about with me. And that way you have my attention. That you can put your contact information, and then you can send me a little note.
And I just dropped your link on the Facebook Live.
Awesome.
As well.
Awesome.
Well, this has been wonderful, a wonderful interview. Christine and I have known each other many years.
Yes.
And we're divine. What is, my friend Paris says, divine appointment. We had a divine appointment a couple weeks ago and really reconnected.
Yes.
So it's neat to talk to you and really hear what you do and take people through. So,
yeah, thank you. Everything's divinely orchestrated. I love divine appointments.
I do too. If you're on this Facebook Live, I'm looking, I don't see any questions. I see Nancy says, hello, Nancy. If you found this helpful later on when you're listening to it, please share it with a friend that might need some extra help that Christine could help out. And I'm going to sign off from Facebook Live. So thank you all for joining Alaska Tracy's Facebook Live. And if you're interested in more goodness, keep following along. And there'll be more fun Facebook Live. So thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. This was beautiful. Thank you for having me as a guest. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Facebook.
Bye, everybody.